So here we go on YouTube. Now I've injured myself, so yayness to that. Now, let's talk. I've seen some questions. Joins, dynamics, that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Let's do that. Kind of. I'm not sure how to word this without it sounding like I'm trying to put someone down and all that, but dynamics in the term of, let's say, Unreal Engine. It's relatively easy. So, like, this is what I mean, like, I don't want to put anyone down, because a lot of these people that make games on things like Unreal Engine, stuff like that, I'm not putting any of them down. Like, there's each thing has its own, challenges and that sort of stuff. But it's a lot easier in Unreal Engine to make, for example, I'm clearly streaming, so how can so when it comes to things like draping cloth, if you're making a game in Unreal Engine, it's almost click a button and it drapes. Whereas in this, it's not that simple. Imagine I spent hours or minutes making that, and it's a cloth bag. Now I could come in and go, okay, grab that, do that, put a buttload of blend on it, make it really look like it could be. That's too much. Could go, oh yeah, maybe we'll make some stuff like this, and go like that, and you can go, okay. Oh look, it's got actual cloth stuff in it. Then you can, for example, grab it with that, clone. I said clone, thank you. And let's move it around to here with a slightly different orientation. Okay, it's a cloth bag. It's got ripples in it. It has to be a cloth bag. For draping stuff like a piece of cloth, it's a lot harder than for something that's more simple, like a hanging light or a light bulb swinging on a thing. For example, if you wanted to make a swinging light on a string, you could. Let's quickly whip one up. Let's grab it. That. Let's not. Not that. Now again, imagine I spent hours on this. Whatever. There's your string. And on the end of your string, you've got your actual light bulb. So. Again, imagination. Okay. String, light bulb, imagination. And just say, for example, you want it to be. Grab that. Let's align it. That. You want it to be. Should probably prepare this beforehand, but it's like. Okay, so for example, if you want this to be the roof, that's your light bulb handle. Let's even go one further. Let's grab the paint tool. Oop, not that one. That one. And grab the paint, like I said I was going to do. In fact, let's make it bigger. Got that. Then we're going to grab white. This is another little tip. White will let off luminosity better than black, so you just... Okay. Okay, so we've got light, string, roof. Ideally, oops, the thing that's going to be swinging has to be attached to something, ideally. So, parent, child. When I'm on this one, oh, I didn't do the back, doesn't matter. You just simply grab a ball joint, go to the top somewhere, go to the bottom somewhere, close enough's good enough, then you grab that and you move that to roughly center on that, and then you can get this and you can go, okay, none, that, and have that. So as that stands, that can now be swinged. So if I back out, oops, and go to playtest mode, you can see it swinging. It moves in all directions. It's not only the one because it's a ball joint. Using that same method is how you do cloth and stuff like that. So using this simple, in brackets, bag of money, let's clone it. Now this is the way I do it. Sculpt the entire thing, if possible. Then grab a clone with the grid on, and as you saw, I went 2 to the right with the grid on. Send it back off again. So just so we only want this in 2 sections, we can then grab, using same color, a minus of that with a decent amount of blend on it. So we'll go there somewhere. So let's go, actually that needs less blend. No, more blend. So we'll go there to there, and do the same on the other one, go above. So the placement of the cutoff will overlap. So now when I grab it and move back to, they're in the same spot. Then I can just adjust these. So I get them roughly right. That sounds good. So it's got a crease in it. You could try and get it exact. Grab this one, move it up more. No crease. For ease, always try and center stuff. So when you go, trying to think of the easy way to show you. The easiest way to show you is probably just click on it. You can see the lines there, and then when you do that, you can have the line there. So you can see that is not centered. So this is not a good example, but we can work it out. You're going to be holding onto the top part, so that's going to be the parent, that's going to be the child. So we can grab, like we did with that one, do it like that. So now that when I back out, they're all highlighted. If I go in one, they're separate. So then we can grab the, like we did with the light, that, go from the parent, always start on the parent, and then go down to the child. Oh yeah, had it play, didn't I? Turn X-ray on. Because I didn't center it, we have to, again, adjust until we think it's about right. So I normally look from that side, then come around to the front. Weight and mass all makes a difference. So if you look at the center ball joint there, the amount of mass that's that side has to equal the amount of mass that's that side. Same with on this side. You want to try and get that and that to be about the same. It looks like it's a little too far forward, so we're going to let's move it back just a little bit. That position and well, that one there doesn't really matter that much. That one does a little bit. Because if you, for example, move it forward there, here it's centered, but the amount of mass that's this side compared to that side, it is going to swing, this mass is going to try to pull down, which is swing it forward, and we don't want that. So that's why you got to try and center it. So that the amount of material on the back is the same as the amount of material on the front. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, but close enough. While you're in build mode, press R3. It'll play, and as you can see, that's not too bad. It actually feels like it needs to be moved that way just a little bit more. Play it again. That's pretty damn close. We can now hide all that. Now, obviously, like if we're doing the light, you could paint it. We could turn around and say, okay, I want it to look like cloth. Let's grab the cloth look and stuff like that. We're not going to worry about that in this demonstration. Same with the sculpting. You could spend hours sculpting it, or you could spend minutes. We have roughly what we need here. So let's grab ourselves a puppet. Just a plain one will do for now. Okay. So here's the puppet. Here's your bait. That's way too big. And before we actually anything else, we're going to come in here and turn off collisions. I normally turn friction up, and because it's going to be smaller, we're going to reduce its weight. So let's go to a 5. Sorry, it's mass. Then let's grab the puppet and let's quickly just let's grab we'll grab one of these. Well, that's still on. Then that to there. Let's extend this to that's a long enough stick. And then we can place the stick into the puppet. When you're in this mode here, you're actually moving its thing. So if I click on it now with the that on, you can actually rotate it now to correct its orientation. So I could do that. Let's turn that off so we can orientate it to the boom. Oh, these don't snap, do they? Keep forgetting that. Yeah, close enough. So we now have, let's attach it to there. Stick. And we're going to attach the bag to the thing. So actually we'll grab a copy. Clone it. Doesn't matter the orientation because we've made it a ball joint. We can then go shrink it down to the size we want. 40 sounds good. Now we're going to grab the bag and we're going to attach it to the stick. So everything else is blurry, stick's shiny, or sharp. Something like that. Yes, that sounds good. I could align it. Not going to worry about it. Let's make sure that the stick is not collidable. Boom. Now obviously the arm is not going to be attached to the stick, but that's not the reason I'm doing it like this. It's attached to the chest, it's so you can see the bag move. So if I now go to the puppet, that's the puppet. When I move, as you can see, like the bag is moving. But see how it's doing the full flippy flips, and you don't want that because it's meant to be a bag, and like, a bag wouldn't do that. So that's when you come into the settings, into the let's X-ray it again. We want to use limits and lock rotation on. The use limits means it can only swing that far. And the lock rotation means it can only go, it can't go anywhere, it can only go this way. If you're using the hinge, the lock rotation isn't available, just to use limits. But now when I do it, you see it doesn't do the full flippy flippy. It still moves, And it's like, obviously, as you can see, the join still. That's adjustments on the ball joint. To make it less noticeable, that looked like it was showing too much of that. So that was moving too much. So I've got to go up, I think. I've got a feeling I've got it wrong, way wrong. Yeah, that's way wrong. It's got to go down. It's worse. Okay. If you can get it right in the seam, it's better. Let's go down to, say, there somewhere. Yeah, so. So that, as you can see, it is moving around. Now, if you don't want it to be rogue, if you want to call it that, like flapping everywhere, you can also add spring to it. So if I add, say, 75, in fact, let's turn that up. It'll still move. It'll spring back. The amount of spring you put is how abruptly it springs back to it. So if it's 100, there it shouldn't move. It should be like really like really stiff. If you turn it down, now obviously turn it too far down, you get like a floaty feel to it. So you turn it down, and you see it's got like this floaty feel to it. So just find your mediums. If you turn it off, it's obviously going to work with its own weight, and wherever your puppet moves to, it'll move to that. It pretty much works with any sort of object. Let me try and adjust myself. So, whether it's a bag, a swinging light, anything like that, the principles are always the same in the fact that you're working with segments. Let's just hide them. On the puppet, chest, abdominal area, hip, upper arm, lower arm, hand, neck, upper leg, lower leg, and your feet and your toes. They're all segments. It's all on what join you use and where you place it. So if, for example, let's use this bag as an example. If this joint was all the way up here, this bottom one will pivot from all the way up here. So it's going to swing around here, and you're going to see more of the top piece. And I'll show you what I mean. See, it's pivoting from the invisible spot that is at. That's why you try and get the centerpiece as close as you can to that. Moving it down to here, it's now going to rotate around that spot there. So that would, in theory, be more ideal for what we're doing here, except for the fact that it does that. That is because the amount of, in fact, you can kind of see it. There's more material on this side than there is on that side, and because it's so close, the smaller the amount, the more noticeable it'll be. So that needs to be moved back just a hair, and just a hair. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. And again, the model separations, that crease you can see, that is the part, that is the bit that or me especially, is having problems with. I'm trying to make seamless puppets. True seamless puppets with no poke through, where everything moves the same. But because all you have to do is look at your wrist. Unless you're a robot, your wrist is not a perfect round circle. It's usually wider one way than it is thick, if that makes any sense. Like from the top to the bottom is normally more narrow than the back to the front. So if you were to make that as a puppet, you'd need more of an oval or an egg shape. And that's when you start running into the issues. If you can get a perfect circle at the hinge point, yeah, you can make it seamless. but a human body isn't built that way. And usually the items you make aren't built that way. Now, in saying that, when you've done this, if for example, I now want to sculpt onto this bottom part here, I want to put extra sculpts onto there, I've just got to remember that anything I add to this, if I, for example, add, we'll go a nice big pokey editing on it. Let's go to about, we'll say there. From where it was centered before, it has now more mass here. So this is going to be pulling down further to there. So I've got to allow for that. And usually I would have to come into here and adjust this. So because it's on 0 springiness, the amount of stuff that's on the front is way less now because I've added that than the back. So the back's going to pull it forward. It's going to swing forward. If I get play, see how it swung forward? That's where the springiness is handy too. That's where you can come in and go, okay, let's add some springiness to it to counteract that. So say 70%. It'll still move, but it's more likely to come back to its neutral location. So if I run around, you can see the ball moving around there on it. It's subtle, but it's moving around. The bigger the angle and the less spring it's got, the more easily it will move. So it works with rope, bags of money or whatever, sacks, anything has dynamics to it. So like a skirt, a bow tie, hair, that sort of stuff. The benefits with this method is the fact that this here is able to be collided with. I can collide stuff with that. Whereas if you make the exact same thing, and just say if I grab this one for example and grab a copy of it, and then with this one I'm going to scale it down to about the same size. Close enough. There is a tool you can use that you can click on it and convert it to a paint. Painting has the ability to be dynamic, but it does not have the collision. So I've just made it dynamic. I've just made it a painting. So it's no longer a solid object. It's now painting. And if I attach that to the same location like this, that sounds good. And then we come into here and we go to there, dynamic, physical. Go attach both ends. I'm not going to worry about it. Floppiness, how much the wind moves. It's going to have the weird attachments here, but I wish there was a way you could fix it. If anyone knows of a way, leave a comment. Frequency, how much gravity it uses, so you can see where its physics are, but it won't collide with anything. So that they should now they'll both move. So as you can see, they're both moving, but one looks converting it from sculpts does not work out well, whereas the first one I made looks more natural. If you want to add a surface or transparency to it, you've got no option than to use the painting thing. A trick you can do is, if I delete that, is if we grab our in brackets bag here, and we're going to go again with the grids. Let's copy it back. Oops, okay. One back, okay. Now let's get rid of that. Zoom in. Let's click on him, convert. Click on him and convert. Now we have the same thing as here, but as paints. What we can then do is grab, let's just grab these. Let's change, where are we? Let's add that on. We can now make them transparent. So as you can see, you will see the join. It'll be more obvious. The only way to get around that is by cutting the tops where it joins, cutting the tops off. But for example, we make it 50%, 50% there. We can then grab the top one, make sure it's attached to the bottom one. Go to the bottom one, make sure it's attached to the bottom one. So now they're two separate things. One's a paint, one's a thing. So it's laid on now. So if I grab sculpt and also grab the painting, you can adjust each one separately. So we're gonna make that wider. But what we want to do is we want to hide that. And do the same with the top one. Sculpt. It's labeled sculpture, so we know that's the correct one. So now because they are attached to the underlying models, which are solid, they will now move like the other one did. But it adds that transparency look to it. We're not using the physics that's embedded in the paint program, the paint part, because that's poop. That's absolute crap. But it can get you some good stuff. It's good for like fur, hair, and stuff like that, or transparencies. So now we've got the rigidity of the original sculpt without the solidness. It's more of a hollowness. So if you wanted to, for example, make a glass flask, this is the method. Sculpt the glass flask. I'll give you a quick example. Let's hide that. Okay. Let's quickly grab a ball with a cylinder. Let's give it some blend. Again, I'm not going for perfection. It's more to show you. Not that. That actually doesn't look too bad. There's my glass flask. I say that in inverted commas. We want to make that transparent. What you do, again using the grid, copy it to the side, just a little, just one or two is fine. And we're going to use one as the glass and one's going to be the fluid. So we're going to grab this one. I would normally go from the top and just highlight some in the center and just tap down on the D-pad to shrink it down. So this one is ever so slightly smaller than that one. This one's the fluid. So let's go into here and let's make the fluid height. So we'll say about, is that full? Let's make it blood. Sounds good actually. Well, let's add some shininess, metallic. Let's grab this one. Now if you want it to look smoother, you want it redder. If you want it to look fuzzier, you want it to be more blue. The less dense the fleck is, when you convert it, it's going to look fuzzier. That's fairly well thingy. So let's convert that to the painting. Now when we're in here, we can adjust the stretch, which will make it like that. Then we can also come into here. Actually, let's turn that down. We can go to transparency. We can add that. That allows to make it shiny. We could go metallic. You could go waxy. Let's go waxy. We want it white, so let's do that. Actually, you know what? No, let's have it black. And then we can turn the transparency down to, we'll pick 50%. And now when you grab like we did before, grab the grid. Bring it back. Because we gridded it, we can now snap it to the object. So this is the painting over the object. There's our flask. Now, If you don't like it being black, come in, change it to white. If you don't like how easy it is to see those dots, you can adjust all this sort of stuff that make it more solid, less solid, or make it more transparent. If you want to go the one further, you could, because we've just used the ball at the bottom, you could also hinge these to a base piece, and so when you rotate the thing, the fluid will stay level. I'm not going to worry about it. You'd use the same technique here, but yeah. So hopefully what I've just explained using the whole thing, I can show you how you'd have to get rid of that. With this sculpt here, how we copied it, if I go to there, and you can see that thing there, you have to pretty much grab a cutaway and sharply cut it so there's nothing there. Ideally, you'd use a hollow object, but that there, in my opinion, still does its job. It looks like there's something in there. That's all there is. It moves around. It uses the same dynamics as the other one did, so we can adjust that pivot point to. Is it springiness right now? Yeah. No, let's have no springiness. So there you can see it's moving around. It's all in brackets dynamic. Now, as I was saying with the hitboxes, as you can see, when my puppet walks into that old light bulb thingy, it's movable because it's got that hitbox, whereas the paint doesn't. If I made that out of a paint object, it doesn't have that hitbox. And just quickly while I'm here, the hitbox itself, if you come into it, to the item there like that, if you ever want to adjust all that sort of stuff, if you come into here and say physics cost down, those dots you see for a split second when you change it, they're the hitboxes. So that is what you collide with. It's same with the puppet. The puppet has one as well, but the puppet's only got a singular one. And to access the puppets, you come into here, and you go to that one. And when you're adjusting that big white bean looking thing, that's the hitbox. So if you want that for your head to better hit it, that has to be taken into account. You can also, for example, come into here, turn its collidability on, and tell it to collide with, let's make sure it only collides with everything else except for friends and foes. Let's label it as a friend. And let's go into here, let's label this one as collidable with everything except for, say, machine, and we'll label it as a machine. Doing that means that we also have to relabel the puppet itself as, because it collides with everything, so let's have it not collide with friend. Actually, let's have it not collide with, what do I label the head as? Okay, I labeled it, yeah, labeled it as friend. So it doesn't collide with friend. So this here, that bean there should not collide with the headpiece, and the headpiece shouldn't collide with it. If we label it as, what it can collide with? It's labeled as friend, and it can't hit friend. Okay, so if I label that as friend, it shouldn't better hit it. You do run into issues where it doesn't act correctly, but as you saw the head move, because it's hit that piece. If you start playing with these, you can actually run into issues, and I've got a tendency to come into the actual this and either go like that and like that, make it tiny or whatever, because it's got a tensity. I keep saying that incorrectly, but it's got a habit of sometimes when you relabel these pieces, because I've been toying with the dynamic cloth so the cloth hits the body. And for it to collide with this, if you label the leg, for example, just so we made it collidable with everything it's supposed to, and we label it as friend, and then just say this piece here, it's to collide with friend, but nothing else. And we're going to label this as, we'll go scenery, that's fine. And set collidable on. The leg should now collide with it, as you can see. Actually, no, that would be the puppet's bean, okay? Because of flavor of the friend. Haven't I? Yes. Let's not have his friend, let's call it machine. It's to collide with everything, not with machine, not with friend, not with foe, so it should not collide with the bean. But I've had situations where it has collided with the bean. Collide with machine, and it's scenery. So now just the leg should bump. It still feels like the bean's interacting. But that's the issue. That's the point where I'm stuck at. But I have seen a couple of comments talking about how they can make a dynamic object. I think one of them was talking about a blood sack or money bag or something. So I thought I'd show the money bag and the light bulb thing. They're the easiest ones to do. Single point, single or two-part dynamics. When I do my breasts on my characters, as I showed, I did 2 parts. They're the easiest ones to do. I do have one puppet that has a 3-part. They look a lot nicer, but they're also a little more taxing on the thermals, because if you go into, actually I could probably rewind. Thermals. I think it's in gameplay memory. Every time one of these is added, that increases. If you have too many, you'll get the whole situation of slowdown, or what I call lag. So if I go into here, it's a playable. This one here. If it'll load. This has the dynamic system in it, but as you can see, it's just for the loincloth. So in theory, none of your body parts will poke through to any major amount. So it's hitting your character. It shouldn't hit anything else, just your character. So the tree and stuff like that should be fine. But any more than about what I've got on this, if I come in, for example, let's remix it. Let's remove everything else, just to show you. Oh yeah, because there's an invisible box too, so we got that, boom, okay. So literally we've only got the puppets, but let's add how many? Excluding the fact that they're randomizers in it, so you can either be male or female, so they'll have the chest or not. That is just 4 loincloths. See how slow the puppet feels like it's moving? It's because each puppet has to calculate for each one of those. And the reason for that is if I zoom in, let's grab this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10, 20. So that's 20 pieces, and each piece has a hinge and connectors. And it's got to calculate the if I come into here and go that one and choose that, those little white dots you can see, it's calculating how many of those are hitting something else. So that's why it's taking so long. Whereas in Unreal Engine, you don't have to worry about that. The only way you can fix that is make it so that only the puppet you've got, it's doing that, and all these are no longer dynamic. That's the only way you'd fix it. Oh, they can still be dynamic, but they wouldn't collide. You could add a spring mechanism. So for example, if I come in, grab these and turn all these here to springiness. Maybe not quite that much. So 85. I'm only going to do the one. So this puppet here, on our left, its right hand side, there is a piece that's going to be just a little bit springier. Doing everything like that could reduce it. I've got 2 males, 2 females. With the new paint tool though, I can actually update this because that tattoo stuff's supposed to be glowing. But yeah, so if you want to do dynamics, that's your best bet. In using this dynamic system I'm using here, I should, in theory, if I go edit, rewind, let's get rid of. I told you to go away. There we go. Just say, for example, I get this puppet. Let's just move him to a horizontal, and let's just copy his loincloth. Let's do that, and then if I flatten it out and enlarge it. Okay, now if I grab the top ones, have to be done as well. There. Make them movable. That whole thing should better drop down and sit on top of it like a bed sheet. So about that. Play. Oh, it stood up. Fudge, I forgot about that. If I turn that off, and then I turned the thing off, didn't I? Gotta turn the chip off like that. Okay, rewind. It still stands up. Bugger. I know how to fix that. It's a method I don't like doing. Let's go into it. Select everything. Select everything. Copy it. Move it to the side. It should have copied without the chip. We can now get that group. I can delete that one. Move it there. Now that there's just a corpse basically. So let's just make sure that if I come into here, do that, and let's make sure none of that is movable. So back out. Let's enlarge this a little bit. Drop it, and it's like a bed sheet. So it does what it's meant to. It's just the intensity on which each one of these little white dots are makes a difference. Same with what settings you've got each one of those set at. So if I rewind it and go, just say those all here. Let's turn all them to really movable. If I now back out, and let's hide all that. Each joint can now move a lot more, but that can cause more issues in other aspects of, you know, clipping and stuff like that. But that's how I'm approaching the drapery, or sorry, the dynamic side. A lot of my puppets, I think I've spoken about it before, are both male and female. So if they've got anatomy, they'll have both parts. And then if you want to use it as a female, you just turn off the male. If you want to use it as a male, you just turn off the female. It's simple. So as a male character with the breasts. There is the issue of moderation. That's why a lot of my creations, back out, go back in again, won't be released, purely because of that. That one there is one. It's a okay example. Some of these, like that one and that one, are not my creations. I use them as practice, so I edit them, try and make something in their style. That's one of my creations. What's a good one I can example? I think this one is okay to show. So hang on, we got this. Now if we come into here and go into here, and then in here? No. And there maybe? No. Somewhere in here. There's the switches there. So I can turn certain body parts on and off, usually through a switch inside or through a lever. This one here has the bra and everything, so you can turn them on and off, and yeah. But it's not. I do have creations that are fully detailed, but generally speaking, because as you can see the lines. Most of my creations, I don't go for photorealism. Purely because of the seams. So if I go public, the last one I done was probably that one there. That is just a template. If you want to check it out, you can. It's cover. Walk up to a wall. Puppet takes cover. That's absolutely all it is. But if I choose, for example, this puppet here, this is a downgraded what I would normally make, so that Media Molecule can have a hissy fit about it. So it's a basic puppet. It's basically a resculpt of the normal puppet. It has nothing. Yeah. You can't turn on or off breasts. You can't turn on or off male stuff, anything like that. Because Media Molecule have a hissy fit. So it's literally the basic version. I do have other ones that do have extra options in them. So if I go to Remix, open it up, and go in, you'd usually find a switch or something like that in here. Actually, if I go to my human base, that's probably a good example. here and go remix. It hasn't got as much as I normally make, but this is as far as I'm willing to push Media Molecule thing. It has got, if you look up there, breasts, and if you come inside, you can actually find in here, that's energy, that's the help, it's tan, mouth, options, it's in there. There's all your things, your staminas, your runs, things like pants. So you can turn the pants on and off. And then you got up here, female. If you turn female off, if you look up the shirt, you'll see there's no boobs anymore. So if you wanted, for example, have a male character, you can turn the breasts off, then the top off, and you've got a male character. And then if you wanted to have a female character, you just turn those back on again. Now, turning on the female part will obviously put the breasts there. I have cheekily added again because of Media Molecule, these little stars. Just to, so Media Molecule doesn't ever fit. There's nothing there as you can see, but taking both off will make it naked. So it's nude. Again, no details, but that's as far as I'm willing to push Media Molecule's moderation system. If I pushed it any further, if I put nipples on those boobs, oh my god, that FSC fit. If I put a crease for a female thing, or if I put a little butthole, or even belly buttons, I'm scared to put belly buttons because they're moderation system. If you just want a base version without all the bells and whistles, that's what that is. It's an earlier version, less features. I don't even think this one has the different options for the male and females. Yeah, see, like, look, it's got 2 auto jump and auto look. That's all it's got. It doesn't even have a load of the other extra ones. It still has the whole skin tan and stuff like that, so you can choose how wet you want the character to look, how waxy, how much glow. I think the full one didn't have glow, it had something else. But yeah, this one here is if you want to put your own head on or something like that, whereas the other one has a basic head sculpt. As you can see, it's got the basic head sculpt. This one here I do like, but I have a later one which again hasn't been released, I don't think. Yeah, see, it's private. It's this one here. It's similar, but slightly better. I have another one as well that's even more detailed than this one. But a lot of my more detailed ones, so I get to a certain point and I start doing something else and I forget about them. I've got some that I've just started reworking on again. Let's see if I can find one of them. This one is I made a while back. There's that one there, but again, it's got pubic hair, so it's like, oh my god, they'll have a fit. The little puppet body part there, see, when it goes into there, actually has pubic hair, because I didn't put pants on it, so, you know. There's some more of them. Oh, there's one I made a while back that I've been reworking. Koig, which was... It was the 5th main puppet I released. Actually, let's have a look, see if I go... I think it's under... Actually, no, it'd be under... Character? And then if I go to collections, character creation, I think I was in that one. It's not that one. Yeah, that's how far back it is. It's probably that one. No, it wouldn't be that one. It'd be that one. No, it wasn't even that one. Because there's Lady. And that's when I stopped naming them after Scottish words. Okay, so here we can get on the list here. Yeah. So there's the oldest one, which is a play on the word one. Then you got these ones here, these ones here. Then you got some of these ones. So then you got Jiggler. Then you got blank. There's Sia. There's Lady. So it would have been down here somewhere. Oh yeah, there's Dara. Yeah, so it would have been here. But as you can see, it's not there because of its content. The breasts have nipples, so it's like, how does he fit? I don't think. Yeah, see, there's the plump, there's the portion. They're actually pretty good versions, to be honest. That's more of a male. Again, if you want it to be female, just add breasts. Pretty good seamless, but not perfect. There's the plump one, which is a little bit more on the chubbier side. Again, if you want it to be male, just remove the breasts. As you can see, there is, like there, you can see the poke. So they're not perfect, but they're not bad starting points. That's it. Hopefully, the beginning part of the stream, where I was talking about the dynamics and stuff, that technique can be pretty much used on anything. Hopefully, that helps. If I was to give you a tip, plan. If you're going to make something, build it, then plan where the cuts are going to be and where the joints are going to be. Because usually if a joint is in a good spot, it'll look better than if it's in a bad spot, even if it's still seamless. Well, I'm out of here, guys. I'll catch you all next time. Stay safe. Take care. I'm out of here.